Welcome to a long overdue episode of the cut content of Spec Ops The Line. I bet you didn't expect to hear that one again, but there is something that's been on my mind that I've wanted to talk about for a while, something that recently came back into the limelight, thanks to a post by Samibo42 on Reddit. There's an interesting naming scheme in the files of Spec Ops when it comes to the levels. Usually, if a level is standalone, it'll just be SP underscore level name, and then any other files related to the level have another underscore, like P would be for the player models, or Delta. However, when there are levels that are basically two parts of each other, it'll end in 01, then 02. So like the first two levels are SP underscore desert 01. This makes sense, it follows logically, but there's something strange if you look through the cooked PC console folder of the game. You'll find that the naming scheme for Radioman doesn't quite add up. There's Radioman 02, Radioman 03, where the helicopter chase is, but there's no 01, which is strange. There should be a 01. The level beforehand, Alone, is referred to as Doll's House in the game files. It's a completely separate level as far as it's concerned. Which raises the important question, where is Radioman 01? Seems like it's a cut level. I don't think that it made it into the final game, and Samibo42 found an early loading screen that confirms this. It features an earlier logo that actually lacks the Spec Ops branding on it, of all things, that mentions loading that level, confirming that it did exist at some point. My friend Devildwarf looked into it, and this can be found within the PS3 version of the game, which also contains an unlocked debug mode that you can enable through some controller setting mods. The PS3 version of Black Ops also had some earlier cut content that wasn't in other games, so it's not unprecedented for the PS3 version to contain more stuff. It does raise the question though, what was in this cut level? It's the only one I know of that has been explicitly cut. There are levels that have been trimmed down or readjusted, like the White Phosphorus scene, going from a choice to a main event you have to do, but this level just seems to be the only one that has been just completely removed. There are context clues that we could probably use to piece together what happened in it, but it doesn't pop up in any of the original campaign briefings that we have in either the 2010 beta or the retail games files. Presumably, this would have been set after Delta manages to reunite from the truck crash, but before they reach the tower for the Radioman. Probably would have involved them fighting their way through a different part of Dubai to reach the tower, because the game cuts from them at one end of Dubai to the next section, without an explanation as to how they got so close to the tower undetected. The loading screen makes it seem like there's a section in a high-rise area where there's sand just engulfing the rooms, with an opening to the sky. And maybe you would have been fighting through apartment buildings and things like that to get to the Radioman in it. Maybe you would have been climbing up these buildings to reach the vantage point you get to in Radioman 2. It's hard to tell, but we can definitely say that this got cut. There's something about this level that made it get cut. For some reason, Jaeger just either they weren't happy with it, or they didn't have the time to finish it. Or maybe they decided to streamline the narrative and to just go from the Alone chapter to the Radioman chapter. It's interesting, though. I can't help but speculate about it. What do you guys think was in this? I've had all sorts of theories, but there's nothing conclusive so far. I'd love to see what else was maybe in it, how far it got along. I'd have to dig through the files for the game to see if there are any early screenshots like there were with the original campaign outline. Anyway, thanks for tuning into this episode of the cut content of Spec Ops The Line. Thanks to Samibo42 for bringing this up on the Spec Ops subreddit, and thank you to Devildwarf for narrowing down how to find it. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care.